So for this new video, I wanted to show you how you can use MidJourney to create art, illustration, and content like this. I know that we have a lot of artists following this course. So similar to the architecture category, I have created like this like art style and illustration style references, where you will find like all the main, like art movement, all the most famous artists, and then some like tokens and keywords that you can use. One more time, this is not, that's not it. This is just like a starting point. You have like references that usually pretty helpful to get started. But depending of like what you're trying to achieve, you can like build your own references, your own token. You can also, if you're an artist yourself and you have like a specific style, you can use your own work to kind of like add like style references. I will show some example with that later in the video. But just to get started and to make you like understand how MidJourney works around that, we're gonna start with like the Renaissance style. And first, I want to show you kind of like, usually when I'm exploring around like a specific art style, I want to get a sense about like how MidJourney identify and represent the work of like different artists. So just like super simple, but we can be imagine a painting in the style of Renaissance art by, and then I'm just like copying and paste inside the bracket. Each artist, we're gonna do a 4:5 ratio, and we're gonna run it like 3 for like each, just to have like a, like different, oh yeah, that's so weird because on Discord you can do it, but in the web app you cannot use this combined with the repeat. But let's do just like one round first. And so it's creating the content. And what is interesting is like when you use AI, a lot of people obviously are very sensitive about, copywriting and all the different things. The truth is like it's very difficult, it's impossible to get the MidJourney to recreate exactly a famous painting. So you can have something that is in the style of the artist. Obviously, the more famous the content, like the Mona Lisa, you can probably get something that will looks like very familiar to the Mona Lisa. But in this case, what I want to show you is kind of like in my workflow when I want to like explore like a specific art style and type of render. It's very important to have a good understanding of like how MidJourney is visualizing the artist. So if we take Raphael Sanzio, for example, I can like run a couple more. And what I wanted to show you quickly is like, obviously it really looks like the work of the artist with some like interesting composition. I render like more before, oops, I don't want to spoil you on that. There is like more here in the composition that are like very interesting, and we can use a style reference as well. Because if I just take a prompt and I write a painting of a samurai warrior riding a horse in the style of Renaissance art by Raphael Sanzio in 4:5, and just like rendering without using the reference of the art. And then one thing that's gonna happen, which is sometimes annoying when using MidJourney, is like the fact that it's a painting of a samurai warrior riding a horse will really have an impact on the render. And as you can see here, I'm not here to say if it's like good or no, but you have this, like you cannot like really tell this is like Renaissance art. Like you have this kind of like dynamic stuff. I think MidJourney is confused because there is probably not that many content that exists in the world today where it's like, samurai represented by Renaissance artists, because they were not necessarily the main topic. But what is interesting here is like if we go back to kind of like using like one of the image I generating to kind of like seeing how it goes in terms of like the style reference. So let's try with this one. So we're going to use this one as a style reference, and then we're going to take the exact same prompt. So I'm going to copy here, copy prompt. So we're going to put it here, and then The difference here when you do product design for style reference is like you want probably to have like a higher weight to being able to see see the style being like the most important element. And normally you shouldn't like mess too much, but like what I will do is like let's try to actually have, you know, like a 30, a 50, and like a 80 weight, and then let's see how it goes. So like I'm rendering, I add in the reference. You can add multiple reference, so that's like interesting too, especially when you're doing some like experimentation. You can see like how it goes. But now it starts to like generating the content. And as you can tell, now is like, okay, it's getting like in the style. It's like far to be perfect, probably gonna need some like editing. The reference I use here was kind of like dark, so like you can tell that like you have like, you actually follow the guidance and kind of like starting to like mixing the style of the work between the two render. So this is kind of like to show you how you can improve. This really looks cool, like the Shogun, the TV show, like the main artwork. And so if we go on like a totally different style, maybe we can find something like a little bit more brighter. 1 second. Yeah, we can try with this one, for example. Oh, I hope not too many kids are looking. There is literally 2 fingers instead of the dick of the painting. Interesting. MidJourney always have like funny ideas. So okay, let's go there. Let's putting these, and then let's actually put it like 80 here. So the style reference is definitely a powerful feature. I recommend like you work on it. As you can see here is like also getting more into like the ratio of this reference. I'm not sure how many of you guys are doing like Renaissance art painting, but that kind of like work with the same logic with like all the different style. And then that actually like something I wanted to show you is if you want to, you know, like what we did was kind of like the same prompt and then having like different artists from the same era. But let's say you're working on a project for Disney and you want to like have an idea about like how Mickey Mouse can be represented within the different era and the different art style. We can do an illustration. Let's do the illustration style of Mickey Mouse in the style of, and then it's gonna take me a second. But yeah, realistic, cartoon, comic. Let's do abstract, pop art, minimalist, and watercolor. Abstract, pop art, minimalist, watercolor. You don't really have to do illustration on a white background. You don't have to do that all the time, but it's just like showing you that like when you're testing on like a specific topic or subject, and here it's like Mickey Mouse because it's like very like easy to recognize it, but I can work with like anything. It's pretty interesting to see like how MidJourney again with like tries a different like illustration style that can help you to like decide like which direction you want to go on your project. But like for mood board as well, it's really cool because I think the better you understand how MidJourney brain works, the better you will be able to like prompt and generate the content you want. So here we have like the realistic illustration, which is like pretty impressive. Here we have like a cartoon illustration. Sometimes like stuff will be like very similar. And you can see, okay, like this different piece of content, different medium, different style, and so then you can work with it. You can identify like something that you really like, and one more time, you can like use this as like a reference for like your next work. So let's use like the same topic, but like if I use this one. Comic and illustration of what can we do? An illustration of okay, let's be very let's take some risk here. Let's do a samurai helmet to change the illustration, just kidding, of samurai helmet. Actually, we can remove all these parts because we use a reference. And so let's put like a 100 reference. So this is it. This is so interesting to think that it kind of like blended like the face of Mikey Mouse as well. But like you can play around with that. You can obviously, you know, like specify, you know, like different color palette and all the different things that you want to achieve. But it's just to show you like how you can use like your own style as an artist. So like all the reference that you use to create some like illustrative or like painting project that you work on. In the next video, I'm going to show you like similar stuff, but like around the sculpture and installation. Because that works the same, but it's always good to kind of like seeing the different examples there. Thank you.